Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Stans, and this is What's Playing Tonight. This is the inaugural first episode of our brand new podcast. That's right, I said our brand new podcast because I've decided to bring on a co-host. Introduce yourself.
Howdy, y'all. This is Silver-Eyed Wolf.
Yeah, this is Nate, the Silver-Eyed Wolf. We're not doing
Nobody knows my name.
They do now.
Fine.
It's fine. Yeah. No. This is Nate. I'm Ty. This is Nate. And I had an idea. If you don't know who I am, which if you clicked on my YouTube channel to watch this, then you definitely know who I am. I do a YouTube channel where I occasionally upload videos, usually about movies. I made one video about a game. It was a lot of fun. But I've always wanted to do a podcast, and I needed to have somebody to do it with me, and that's why I brought you on.
Yeah, I was the closest recipient? Helper.
We were educated in rural Missouri, which is why we don't know words. So the idea I had started off as a bit of a scheme, kind of, in which one of us would suggest a movie, and the other person can't say no.
Yeah, which is a great idea.
Except I didn't realize is that it's going to backfire on me eventually, because that means that you can pick a movie and then I can't say no. So what we're doing is I picked the first movie because it's my show. And what I picked this week was The Evil Dead. So basically what the show is that we do that and then we talk about the movie.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, how are you doing?
I am nervous as normal.
You're nervous?
Yeah, I do not speak much.
Well, we'll cure you of that.
Yeah, with as many as we were planning on doing. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a regular thing. This is going to take off and be very successful.
Yes.
Yeah. So what have you been watching?
I just finished DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I watched a little bit of the first season of that, and then I never kind of kept up with it.
Yeah, I don't think it has been renewed for a new season, so it might be over. I hope not. They left it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And I hate when shows do that.
Well, it's in that CW verse, though, right?
Yes, and they're kind of slowly closing out the CW verse.
Yeah. I haven't watched much CW, so I think around the time I did watch it for a long time because I was pretty into Arrow back in the day, and the Flash more so,
and Supernatural.
I mean, the Supernatural. I was just talking DC, but yeah, I watched all of Supernatural.
Supernatural had a crossover.
Did it?
Yeah, with DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Like a real crossover?
Sort of. They had the car.
Yeah,
which introduces that the Supernatural episode that they go in and they're a show is the same universe as the DC Legends of Tomorrow universe because it's a show in the DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, so they acknowledged that
Supernatural exists.
Okay, fair enough. That's kind of cool. I guess I don't think that's quite the crossover people wanted, but
no, probably not.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
About video games, you've been playing anything lately?
A lot of Dragon Age Inquisitions again, getting more into the modding aspect of those games, getting new experiences.
Right. Yeah. I've pretty much only been playing Elden Ring.
Yeah. How you liking that?
It's hard, but I enjoy it. I've gotten more into this one than I have the previous Souls like games.
I heard those games are really easy.
I don't know who told you that.
Quite a few people.
Yeah, well, the people we hang around with probably, maybe.
Yeah.
I could see them saying something like that. I do think Elden Ring is a little bit easier so far than the previous From Software games that I've tried to play, but it's still pretty hard, I would say.
I've definitely seen some videos that make it look like it's a lot easier than it probably really is.
Yeah, I'm sure I've also seen videos in the end game where a lot of the enemies can just one shot you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Uh, as far as watching stuff, I haven't really watched much lately.
I watch stuff simply because I don't play it, so I don't really care about spoilers or anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like even like TV and movies. I think last week I watched the new Scream movie, and
Okay.
I also watched that new Resident Evil movie.
How did it turn out?
Um, it was not good.
So what is it, a continuation or a reboot or
No, I would say it's a reboot. They seem to be going more closer to the style of the games for this one. There's no Alice, so there's no Mila.
Oh, okay.
It's a different director. It's the people. It's the Leons in the movie. Jill
So
Valentine.
it's harking back to the classic characters.
Yeah, it's like a mixed adaptation of Resident Evil 1 and 2.
Hmm.
It's not the way I would have done it, but the set design looked really good. None of the characters act like
The character.
the characters, but yeah, it didn't do it for me.
Any potential promising in it?
I could totally with them adapting those first two games. I think the director said that they wanted to, adapt other games further down the line, which could be cool. Take another stab at it. But I also don't think that movie made any money.
So they may have to rethink their choices.
Yeah, I want to say it came out in November, in between Eternals and Ghostbusters.
Okay.
So it had a bit of a competition. Although I don't think Eternals made that much money either. But
I think it was the least selling Marvel movie in that they've done
just that year or of all time?
of all time.
Wow. I'm not surprised. I didn't like that movie, but that's all right. All right. Well, the movie the movie we watched, I did like. Uh, we watched Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead.
Yes.
You had never seen this movie.
No. I am a fan of Ash Williams because of Army of Darkness, the comics, and Ash vs. the Evil Dead series, but I've never actually seen the original movies.
Which is an interesting approach, but I totally could see like that happening. Evil Dead has become so much bigger than just those first two movies. They didn't even call the third one Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And then Ash has just been
He's an icon.
he's an icon now, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
So The Evil Dead is a 1981 American supernatural horror film written and directed by Sam Raimi. Now I've seen a couple of Sam Raimi movies that are not Evil Dead movies. Most famously, I covered them on my YouTube channel, What's Playing Tonight, the Spider-Man trilogy from the early 2000s.
I don't think I ever actually made that connection, but yes, you are.
You might have noticed, probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Good.
Did you happen to notice the car that the group of friends were driving in at the beginning of The Evil Dead?
It was yellow, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
What if I told you that Sam Raimi puts that car in every movie?
I could see that. He seems like the kind of guy who likes to put Easter eggs in his stuff.
And that is actually the car that Uncle Ben is driving when he gets carjacked.
So much death in that car.
There's a lot of death in
is
that car.
So sad.
But I mean, that's a neat thing, though.
It is. As much as he uses the same actors in a lot of the stuff that I've seen, it makes sense that he would try to use the same props as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think if I was guessing, I know Sam Raimi probably didn't have too much to do. Did he have any involvement with the TV show, the Ash versus Evil Dead?
I believe so. Yeah.
Is the car in the?
I don't know if it's the exact same one, but they do say it's the same car.
Oh, okay.
In the show itself.
Well, that's neat.
Because they do a lot of flashbacks.
Right.
Him in it.
Oh, all right. Okay. I'm looking forward to making my way through that show as well.
I would love to watch it with you because that is a great show, and I would love to rewatch it again.
Okay. Maybe we can make that happen.
Yeah.
So it's directed by Sam Raimi, produced by Robert Tapert, executive produced by Raimi, Tapert, and Bruce Campbell,
Makes
which
sense.
basically is just a way of saying that they made this movie with their own money.
Yeah, it's their love child.
It is their love child, their first feature length film. And Bruce Campbell also stars in the movie
Hmm.
as Ash Williams. This movie also has uh, Ellen Sandweiss, Richard Demanicore, Betsy Baker, and Teresa Tilly. Now, I'm reading this from Wikipedia, and only two of those names have hyperlinks. So I'm assuming that the other two, uh, Richard Demanicore and Teresa Tilly, probably didn't have huge careers after this one.
Probably not.
So the film focuses on five college students vacationing in an isolated cabin in a remote wooded area. After they find an audio tape that, when played, releases a legion of demons and spirits, four members of the group suffer from demonic possession, forcing the fifth member, Campbell, to survive an onslaught of increasingly gory mayhem. And they do mean increasingly gory.
Yeah. So much gore. I can't even. I understand now why it was such a big deal for them to put so much gore in the series.
Yes, it's kind of a feature of the series now.
Yeah.
And definitely probably played into why it was so hard to get this movie in theaters. Because
Yeah.
if you didn't know, they filmed this movie in 1979 or 78, I'm not sure. And this movie didn't come out in theaters until 1981. So the movie was done, and they were just kind of trying to shop it around. And they just all the big studios were just telling them, no, we're not doing this.
I yeah. I could see that being a reason.
And it's weird to me because I mean, this is after Halloween. This is after, I want to say, The Exorcist came out
Yeah.
before this movie.
I'd have to look that up. It might be. As young as Bruce Campbell is in this movie, I can see that being true.
It's like after The Shining. I mean, it's not like I mean, it's shocking, sure, especially for 1981. But I didn't feel like this was any worse than the other horror movies that were coming out around this time.
I could think of maybe one scene
Yeah, I could think of one scene too, actually, now that you mention it.
that might have made them hesitate.
Are we talking about the scene with the tree?
Yeah.
That kind of kick starts the whole thing. Yeah, that yeah, I suppose that you don't really see that in the average movie.
I don't think I've ever seen.
No, I'm sure they probably do it again in the remake, but yeah, that's I but I mean that's a
That is a very small scene compared to the rest of the movie.
exactly, and it's something that they could have easily, if it was that big of a deal, they could have cut it out and replaced it with a more traditional form of demonic possession.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Other than that, I don't see why they wouldn't, unless maybe they weren't very well liked, or just because they were unknown at the time, and people weren't willing to maybe take a risk.
I could totally see that. Yeah, they this is very much kind of an indie movie.
Yeah.
Basically made by four guys that grew up together, raised up the money to film,
And as kind of good bad as the movie is,
yeah,
it definitely gives off the feel of a passion project.
yeah, or a what did you say it reminded you of again?
A softcore porn parody.
Yeah, it's a very it's a very cheap looking movie.
Yeah.
But I think with what they had, I think they made something pretty good here.
Yeah, I was very surprised, especially with the decaying at the end of it.
Yeah, that was a cool effect.
Yeah, that was very detailed, and I really like that kind of animation, uh, especially if it's like a whole movie. But if they incorporate it into even a live action film, I'm a big fan of that kind of thing.
It kind of reminded me of like the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark
Yeah,
when they open the Ark of the Covenant,
Face is melting off,
and then also just Last Crusade when the guy drinks from the wrong cup. just spoiling movies.
Yeah, just left and right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
There will be spoilers for Evil Dead on this podcast.
I feel like these movies we're talking about are probably hit the expiration date of spoilers.
I would hope so. If you haven't seen any of those things we just mentioned, I would recommend that.
Yeah. And if you haven't yet, then
what are you doing with your life?
Maybe it's just not your cup of tea, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe not.
But you should try it.
I would try it. So what did you think of the movie?
I liked it. I also loved nitpicking at it.
Yes. As we are wont to do in our advanced elderly age.
Yeah. Except I've been doing that in my advanced elderly age since 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, nitpicking and just tearing movies apart just for the fun of it is just one of my favorite things to do. And this one gave me a plethora of choices to pick from.
You're a bad person.
I am a horrible person. That's why I like watching movies by myself, because I know myself. I will annoy other people around me.
We're gonna have a fun time on this podcast.
We are.
What are some of these nitpicks that you have for this movie?
So the first one I would probably say is the lack of urgency Scotty seems to have about anything regarding his girlfriend.
Scotty is so this movie, there's 2 guys and 3 girls on this camping trip.
Yep.
Cabin trip? Glamping?
Yeah, I guess glamping would be right.
I wouldn't
Glamorous camping.
It's not very, that cabin is not very glamorous though.
True.
Yeah, they're cabin vacation.
Role.
And so Ash is the main guy, and then Scotty is their
asshole friend.
Yeah, he's a jerk. He's a real dick.
Yeah, I think he's basically just Ash's bud.
And so Ash's sister, Cheryl, as well as Ash's girlfriend, Linda?
Yes.
What is Scotty's girlfriend's name?
Shelly, I think.
Shelly.
Yeah.
Shelly, Cheryl, Linda,
and
Scotty.
And Ash.
And Ash.
Ashley.
Ashley. Ash is short for Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley Williams.
It can be a guy's name.
Apparently.
Yeah, well.
He is the precedent.
So tell me more about Scott's lack of urgency.
So there's a scene where they find out that Cheryl or Shelly is it's hard. I get the names mixed up.
No, and
we just watched this too.
Yeah. It's fine.
So Ash's sister has just been possessed very quickly, and they lock her in the cellar.
Right.
Bad things are happening. So Scotty's girlfriend goes to the other room and screams. Scotty just kind of looks up, slowly stands up, casually walks over. Like, he doesn't really show any real concern for his girlfriend, who just screamed in terror. And then when he gets in, empty room, broken window, just looks at the fragments of the window like, oh, this is broken. Okay. Says her name a couple of times. That's about it for his concern. He does not seem to care.
I will say this. The characters, for all the horrible things that are happening to them, there are some things that happen in this movie that they should freak out more about.
Yes.
They're very nonchalant about some of the stuff that happens to them in this
movie. The one person who actually starts showing concern is Ash, and that's after he starts basically losing his mind.
Yes.
And at that point, it's pointless. Everyone's gone.
I like the amount of times that a shelf falls on Ash in this movie.
I like to joke about you never bring a Post Malone to a knife fight, because in one of his music videos, he immediately gets stabbed in a knife fight. Never bring Ash to a furniture store. He will fall into a shelf, break it, and get trapped.
You heard it here first, folks. Nate is a big Post Malone fan.
I do like a lot of his songs.
I like Post Malone. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, he has no defense for it.
No, it's comical, but also extremely pathetic, because some of the pieces that trap him should not trap him at all.
Yeah, just get up.
Yeah.
I feel like we should mention it is comical, but as far as the whole series goes, this one I would sing. And I haven't seen the remake, but as far as the original series goes, this is the least funny Evil Dead.
Yeah, this I feel like this one they tried to make it more serious, and the comedy was more like just because Bruce Campbell's Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, it's just like a straight up horror film, and that's a if you're going backwards, I could see that being a bit jarring.
Yeah. Um, I'm used to a drunk Ash being making really dumb choices because he's either drunk or just irresponsible and has seen a lot of stuff and doesn't care anymore. This is an Ash who is sober throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he never drinks anything.
Yeah, making horrible choices and just defenseless like a newborn child. Like I just cannot even grasp how weak he is as a character, as a hero character.
He's not. I mean, I guess he is the hero of the story, but he's definitely. They play it up more in the sequels.
Well, the reason I would say he's the hero, like I see him as the hero characters again. Watching these from reverse, so I'm used to seeing him as the hero, and
Right.
also he is the only one who doesn't get zombified extremely quickly, other than Scotty, but he's dead. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's literally the only one who doesn't get possessed in this movie
for some reason. And again, Scotty, who's dead, doesn't get possessed until way later in the film.
Yes, it's kind of like the last
Yeah.
fuck you from the Book of the Dead or whatever.
Yeah. And while Scotty's girlfriend, who doesn't seem to have any injuries at the time of her possession, just gets possessed.
Yes.
So it just seems like the possessing really happens to women in this one.
Which definitely, yeah.
Kind of odd.
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
The men stay unpossessed for the longest time in this movie.
And it's also a theme because even in the audio tape, the guy who's talking talks about how his wife is the one who gets possessed.
That's true. Yeah.
Him.
I didn't catch that. But
so,
yeah, you're right.
I guess demons just like women. Like, first and foremost.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like possessing Scotty was an afterthought for them.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, I guess he's right there.
Yeah, we're running out of bodies, so. But yeah, yeah. What do you have? What other nitpicks do you have?
Ash's ability to take care of an injured friend. Once Scotty decides he's done with all of this and goes out on his own, he returns very quickly, extremely injured and possibly encountered some trees. He then is just laying like half dead on the couch, and Ash just starts slapping him and shaking him vigorously.
and just continually. Oh, he does drink something in this movie.
Oh yeah, he does like a sip of it, and then
it's like whiskey or something.
I wasn't sure what it was because the glass itself had like the yellow print on it, so I couldn't really see what the liquid was. So I thought it was just like water. And he offers it to Scotty.
Well, he pours it into his mouth. He drowns him.
Basically, again, a dying friend or possibly already dead friend at this point. He's not the person you want taking care of you if you're sick.
No, I don't think so. I think we kind of established as we were watching this that Ash is kind of an idiot.
Yes. I liked to think that when I watched it before, or when I watched the other movies before, it was because of his drinking and just he had seen so much stuff that he was broken.
Right.
But this movie just kind of disclaims that he was ever useful.
Yeah.
He's just always been just a very bad judge of what to do, apparently.
There was some contention about the way they were using shovels.
Yes. When you are shoveling and digging a hole, at least with multiple people, from what I understand, I'm definitely no expert, but shovel etiquette means that when someone is putting the shovel into the ground and digging up dirt, you don't immediately slam your shovel onto their shovel trying to scoop the dirt off of their shovel. That's just poor etiquette. It's inefficient. It it's just not good no matter how you see it. And then when you're doing it solo, you don't stand over the hole when you're shoveling because then you're just not getting a good posture. You're hurting your back, and he's already got enough going on, having to deal with the dead people, having to deal with the possibility of trees coming at him. Who knows? And he's just gonna get a sore back, and that's gonna affect him eventually.
Work smarter, not
Yeah,
harder.
and it's just after having to dig some in my life, I would not recommend doing what he
It
does.
really bothered you.
It did. It definitely did. I kept hearing my own father's voice saying, "Why are you doing that? That's stupid." So yeah.
A lot of deep-seated trauma there.
Uh, I would say more trauma of a foreman looking at his workers and being very displeased.
That's true. Well, they weren't on a union job, I don't think.
They would be. I would immediately fire them if I could.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's been shovel etiquette
Yeah.
with the silver-eyed wolf.
Yeah.
One thing that our listeners, viewers need to know is that you're not a horror guy.
No, I generally stay. Well, I generally stay away from what I consider horror as long as it has comedy or romance or something. I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Warm Bodies is a zombie film, but it's a love film. A very messed up love film because it's necrophilia, but a love film nonetheless.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or Dale and Tucker vs. Evil. It's a stupid comedy horror film that kind of bends the rules.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead. One of my favorite zombie films, actually, Zombieland.
Yeah, Zombieland.
There's a lot of horror films that I can watch that are comedy related. If it's just a straight up horror film, I really don't get that much enjoyment from it. Uh, because I don't really look forward to being scared. I had enough of that when I had my midlife crisis at like 7. I don't need to contemplate the existence of life and death once more.
See, I'm the opposite. Is that I love horror movies.
Yeah,
I like horror comedies and stuff like Evil Dead. The rest of the Evil Dead movies, I can get down with that. I just like the aesthetic. I think more than anything.
Yeah. Also like slashers and stuff like that. Halloween, Scream. I just want to yell at the people all the time.
I could see how someone as nitpicky as you would be very frustrated watching a slasher movie.
I feel like the old grumpy man telling people to get off his lawn when I watch those films because I just want to yell at them for doing something wrong.
But it's just a movie.
It is, and I shouldn't take it so seriously, but I've always taken fiction seriously, probably more seriously than I take reality.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll try to rehabilitate you.
Yeah. Well, this was probably a step in the right direction, sort of. It still had a little bit of comedy.
Yeah, it's not funny,
even if unintentional.
Yeah, but there are some funny stuff, funny things in it, I guess.
Yeah. There was definitely that. I don't see how that was like. It was supposed to be funny, I think, because Scotty like laughed and was like, "Oh, that's stupid."
Yeah, it's not. It's really not that funny, is it?
No,
but it's kind of.
It's funny because it's not meant to be funny.
I guess it's kind of funny in how messed up it is, and how like just the possessed people are tormenting Ash.
They are trolls.
Yeah, I can see the humor in that.
Yeah, I will say it definitely sets up the tone for Deadites for the rest of the series because Deadites are probably the trolliest undead creatures in anything I've ever seen.
Kind of like Gremlins.
I don't know, even worse than Gremlins in my opinion, because Gremlins can't. Well, one could talk in Gremlins too, but for the most part, Gremlins can't even talk. Like they just mess with you. Whereas Deadites, they taunt you with nothing is off limits with a
It's
Deadite.
gonna be like all the comments we're gonna get on our podcast.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
No, it'll be fine.
Nah, it's great in the fact that it may have started taking itself seriously at the beginning, but it learned that it could be funny and be entertaining. And I think that's a great thing.
I agree. I think that while I enjoyed this movie, I have definitely I think I enjoy the ones that come after it because I think they really find their footing with the mix of horror and comedy
Yeah.
in the sequels and in the TV show. And we'll see what Evil Dead Rise is like. I have a feeling that they might want to just try to make it serious, which I think it would be a mistake. But who knows? I mean, I'll watch it either way.
I don't think the reboot was very well received.
A lot of people really love that movie.
Did they?
Yes, a lot of people really love how serious and scary it is. I haven't seen it myself. I do plan on watching it.
Yeah.
It's got a. I think people were a little against it when it was announced because there's no Bruce Campbell. Why are you going to remake this? And then it
Yeah.
came out, and people were like really impressed with it.
That's probably the reason I probably didn't hear this because that's not really my circle.
Right.
So I just heard it was coming out, didn't really see much fanfare of it, and that's about it for me.
Yeah, as far as horror fans are concerned, the remake is pretty good, from
Okay.
what I hear.
That means I'm probably gonna have to try it out for my rehabilitation.
Yeah, it might come to that. We'll see.
As long as we stay away from Annabelle. I'm
I
good.
will not make you watch Annabelle. I've seen Annabelle, and it's not that bad. But
But my personal fear.
he's got a thing. He's got a thing with dolls.
Yeah, I'm afraid of dolls. Not like for some reason, not like Chucky. I kind of feel like I could take on Chucky.
Chucky is funny.
So I've seen maybe parts of a Chucky film, but I've never actually watched a full Chucky film.
Mm-hmm.
So the humor aspect, I've heard it's funny, all that. I mean, like I don't know. For some reason, I'm afraid of like doll curses. For some reason, no, not sure why. Uh, but Chucky, I feel like I just boot him.
You see, Chucky. It's interesting because Chucky is another series, kind of like Evil Dead, where it started off trying to take itself seriously, and then they realized how fun Brad Dourif is, and they just let him cut loose. No pun intended with Chucky for the sequels, and then they went too far, but they brought it back to, and they found a nice balance nowadays.
I did watch a Chucky film, Bride of Chucky.
Yeah, that one has more humorous
Yeah.
elements than Child's Play.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I think that's about it.
And Bride of Chuck is okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I own all the Chucky movies, but I'm not necessarily a fan. But I got them for $20, so
A deal's a deal.
a deal is a deal.
We are fans of deals around here.
We are.
Let's see here. There was another aspect to the Evil Dead movie. So I'll leave that for last. The interesting lighting of the movie. I wasn't quite sure if the cabin had electricity or if because there are scenes where they have oil lamps and they're using the oil lamps. But then there are scenes where they have actual electric lamps and all of a sudden before even the curses and stuff start happening, the room just seems to get darker for no reason. I don't know if maybe like that was a tone thing that they were trying to go for, or I don't know. It just seemed kind of odd. It threw a little bit of the movie off for me when I was watching it.
So we've mentioned that this movie is basically the four guys making a movie with their own money. They spent like $50 on this movie.
Yeah.
It is incredibly low budget, and the cabin that they rented out did not actually have electricity.
Okay.
The one that they shot in, so they had to install their own lights, and a lot of the time they were just using like film lighting.
That would explain that one scene with the bright light.
Yes.
Okay.
You're looking at stage lights, film lights, stuff that they set up, but at the same time, I think with the otherworldly nature of everything else that's going on in the movie. I think it kind of it works for it to have
Yeah.
lighting that doesn't necessarily make sense.
Yeah, once the magic kind of the curse stuff starts happening, it started fitting the tone for me.
Hmm.
It was the beginning aspects of the movie before the curses start is what was throwing me
Right.
off. Another thing with the play with distance and
Yes.
angles, I will say it tripped me up a bit, but it was also really cool.
Yeah. What you're talking about? The example with the bridge.
Yeah. Um, Ash is taking his sister out of town. And in order to get out to town, they have to cross a bridge. He stops the car, no bridge in sight whatsoever, and he gets out, walks into the darkness. His sister freaks out, goes after him, walks quite a bit, finds the rubble of the bridge. Then she runs back to the car, and there's Ash, and there's the bridge right in front of the car. Uh,
And I don't know if these are just like continuity errors that they didn't think of, but again, it adds to
Yeah.
the
it fit with it.
yeah, it fits within what's going on, especially later when things get really weird.
Yeah, and I feel like they lean toward it because that's how they do it with the rest of their stuff, the rest of the franchise. They
Right.
do a lot of camera work like that. So I don't know if it was intentional and they just were like, oh, let's lean into it like they did with Bruce Campbell's comedy, or if it was just in they were like, oh, this is how we film it. This is how we're going to film it from now
Yeah, I think so. And like with that, one thing I really appreciated is as it things started going to hell at the end of the movie.
on. Yeah,
Uh,
Ash losing his mind.
Ash losing his mind, the camera angles that they were able to do, I think they really added to the madness.
Mhm. That particular scene with the camera going over his head.
Yeah, it's like starts upside down, then it goes over his head. I'm not even sure how they pulled that shot off with
Without,
the equipment that they didn't have.
yeah, that was definitely impressive. Like you said, when we were watching the film, we could definitely see them just having like a couple of people passing the
Yeah, they
camera
must have
along.
had to do something like that, and then the guy would get out of the way real quick because they definitely didn't have any sort of film equipment.
Which then goes into speaking about the quality of cameramen they had working with
For
them.
sure.
Like they may not have had a quantity, but the quality was definitely there.
I think it's a testament to Sam Raimi as a director and just that entire crew that worked on this movie. Because with the shoestring budget that they had, I really think that everything fell into place to make a pretty good movie.
Yeah. Uh, it was definitely enjoyable. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. And I probably liked it more because I could nitpick it.
Yeah, you do like to nitpick.
Yes, it's probably one of my favorite pastimes.
I don't think if we had the budget for the first Evil Dead, I don't think you and I could make a movie that
Oh heck no! I wouldn't have the patience to do something like
good. Yeah, and I don't have the artistic vision, which is why I do things like podcast and make
that. Yeah,
videos.
I would probably try to do everything myself so that I could get it right
Mhm.
because I don't genuinely or generally trust people to do things the way I want it done. So yeah, I don't know if we could.
And yeah, you the ending.
Yeah, the ending of it, I will say two things that I've noticed.
Uh huh.
The aspect of even if he were to get out back into the real world away from the evil and everything, Ash is screwed.
Oh yes.
I think they actually talk a little bit about that in the series, which now that I've seen this movie, I like that touch that they remembered to call back to that.
Mhm.
Um, and the end credit music was perfect. Like I loved the just upbeat tone to it as it just left off a horrific.
He kind of reminds me. Have you ever seen the original Halloween 2?
I don't
Okay, so it opens up with the Mr. Sandman song playing.
know. Okay.
Mr. Sandman,
Mhm.
and at the very end of the movie, it ends in a very similar way with spoilers for Halloween 2, I guess. Michael Myers is and Dr. Loomis are burning alive, or at least we think they are, in a hospital, and then the music, the Mr. Sandman starts playing again. So
Okay.
this is the same thing where it's kind of a dour ending, but upbeat song.
Contrasting music.
Yeah, contrasting music. Um, yeah, I think that came out the same year as Evil Dead, actually.
Hmm.
Not filmed the same year. Evil Dead was filmed like tail end of '79. I'm not sure. I should probably look these
But it
things
was
up.
released the same
Yeah, released the same year.
year.
Um, and it's interesting. Like I said, I don't quite understand. I don't even think the MPAA had like they wanted to give this a X rating.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they wanted this. They wanted to give this movie an X rating.
Yeah, the only reason I could see that would be that one scene.
Okay, yeah, it's like we keep forgetting about. I keep forgetting about it because oh, this movie's not that bad, but that is pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a very brutal, even short scene, still very brutal scene.
Yeah, very brutal depiction of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see them wanting that, but thankfully it didn't get an X rating because then nobody would have ever talked about it. Probably some people would, but it wouldn't be as widespread. They definitely would not have gotten to make Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Or Army of Darkness, or probably the franchise would have never become such an icon as it is today.
So the funny thing um, with Evil Dead is that so it came out in 1981.
Mhm.
Evil Dead 2 would not come out until 1987.
Oh wow.
There's quite a gap there.
Yeah. I'm guessing because they. How long did it take for them to film it? I wonder.
No, it's not. I don't even think it's like that. But I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think everybody was just off doing things. I think. Well, I'm not quite sure what Sam Raimi was up to, but I know Bruce
Yeah,
Campbell
Bruce
was
Campbell.
working pretty a lot.
Yeah, no, he was a not like a golden actor, but he was, I would say, a silver tier actor at that time. He was everywhere in a lot of the shows I watched when I was younger.
What? How much money do you think they spent to make this movie?
Um, hmm. See, I'm not really good with money and budgets and stuff, so I'm gonna probably say about 100,000.
You see, that's a good guess. I've been way off this whole time, saying like $50 and stuff like. But they actually spent $375,000 to make this
Okay.
movie, which is pretty low for the time,
Yeah,
even then.
it's about the same budget I would imagine would be a B movie would be now.
But they laughed it all the way to the bank because this movie. This is interesting. It says box office. It either made $2.7 million
Dang.
or $29 million.
Either way is
Yeah, I've heard that like the how much money this movie made is kind of up in the air. Like, and it could be something as simple as whenever they reported their things, they forgot to put a zero
yeah.
somewhere. But yeah, either way,
That's a big difference.
it is a
That
big
is,
difference.
that's a well, dang. No wonder this franchise is such close to Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi's heart.
Yeah, they made all their money.
Yeah, like this is where it all began.
But the Evil Dead would go on to spawn basically a series.
Yeah, movies, video game. 'Cause
Video
they're getting a
games.
video game now, and they've even done cameos with other things. They've done a series, comic books,
Comic books.
which is where one of the things I knew the lore from is because I used to read the comic books of them.
I think they even had a video game. They've had a couple different video games. I
Yeah.
think.
I know that Ash has cameoed in a couple of video games. I wasn't sure if they did another or did video games.
There was an Evil Dead game on the PS1 that I think was just a Resident Evil clone, and like it had the gameplay of Resident Evil, but they added a button, and you'll love this. They added a button on the like one of the buttons, you just press it and it plays. It makes them say one-liners.
Nice.
Like there's just a button where it'd be like groovy.
That's such an Ash thing too.
I know. It's. I love that.
I feel like that's kind of meta too, because if Evil Dead helped inspire a little bit of the camera work of Resident Evil, and
Yes.
the video game of Evil Dead was basically a clone of
Resident Evil. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's time is a flat circle or something like that. I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah, and and Nate just mentioned it, but we're just getting into everything on this podcast. So we might as well. Yeah, Resident Evil, the director, I can't think of his name right now, but the director of the very first Resident Evil said that one of his biggest inspirations for the game was the Evil Dead, and you can actually see some of the Resident Evil is known for having a fixed camera, as opposed to a camera that the player can control. And a lot of the angles that they put in that first game, I could totally see shades of that when we were watching The Evil Dead. So it is kind of cool that when they did finally make an Evil Dead video game, it has the same gameplay as Resident Evil. Shinji Mikami.
Yeah, one of the creators of the Resident Evil games.
Yeah. So I would say that Evil Dead has been pretty influential.
Yeah.
And if not the movie itself, the franchise has definitely gone on to inspire many people.
Oh yeah. It's just can't think of anything like it's like an under the radar influence. Like even if you don't think it's really that influential, it's there. It's hidden underneath.
Yeah, a lot of people like this movie, or at least
franchise.
one of these movies. Anyway.
Yeah, because I love Army of Darkness.
I like Army of Darkness.
It actually probably is one of the movies that got me into my love of time travel movies.
Yeah,
because it was not the first time, but one of the first times I've seen where a character goes back in time and becomes a hero of like a mythical age.
I think you would like Evil Dead 2 also.
Yeah, I'm after watching this, I'm actually looking forward to watching Evil Dead 2.
It's basically this movie, but with the tone of Army of Darkness.
Yes, that sounds right up my alley, actually.
Right. But not just yet, because we have reached the end of this particular episode, which means I had a whole thing written up and I didn't even read it. It's fine. I'm not editing this out.
This is the beta test.
This is the prototype.
Yeah, such a good game too.
Yeah. We've reached the end of the show, which means it's time to pick our next movie. Each episode, one of us is at the mercy of the other. Since I picked Evil Dead, it's Nate's turn. What movie are we watching?
Frequently asked questions about time travel.
I've never heard of this movie.
It is probably one of my favorite time traveling movies ever.
And I suppose you looked up the year it came out, and
I did not. I'm not that big on the whole like background of the movie's creation.
No, but if people want to watch along with us, maybe.
I will definitely have that info next time we talk about it,
though. Yeah. Okay. What's it called?
Frequently asked questions about time travel.
We're so professional. Frequently asked questions about time travel. Okay. Frequently asked questions about time travel came out in 2009. I feel like there's not too many movies named that.
No.
So if you would like to watch along with us, I encourage you to do that. This episode will definitely be up on my YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. I guess if you clicked on it to watch that, you already know that. But I'm also working on getting the show on various different podcasting networks, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. Leave us a comment down below and tell us if you've seen Resident Evil. Tell us how much we suck. Tell us what you thought about Evil Dead. Is Nate too nitpicky?
The answer to that is obviously no. I need to be more nitpicky and prove people how wrong they are.
All right, we're starting off great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyway, do you have any last words?
Uh,
Not for life, but like for our listeners.
you never know. A meteor might hit us. Yeah. Go ahead and put some comments down that I can nitpick at. That'd be fun.
All right. Awesome.
Bring some joy in.
Anyway, this has been this has been What's Playing Tonight. I'm Ty. He's Nate. You guys are awesome, and we will see you next time. All right, now say something.
Greetings, DeSoto.
Greetings, DeSoto.